just arrived at the Galicia Palace Hotel. Something that we immediately realised when we arrived in A Coruña is that there was an overwhelming smell of smoke on the aeroplane and around the airport. When we got out to get on the bus, the smoke was even heavier. And it seems we've arrived in Galicia during something of a natural disaster with widespread wildfire across the countryside, and we saw some of that on the way to the hotel. Just on the horizon, on the top of the hills, you could see them glowing orange, and you could actually see the fire. Just turning the TV on in the room, which you can hear in the background, it seems to be quite horrific. So what impact that will have on our stay here for a few days, exploring the Rias Baixas wine-grown region, is yet to be seen, but we'll hear all about that tomorrow morning, and should have a great few days ahead. But clearly there's a lot going on in the region at the moment anyway.
And the name of the square is what we do here is cut the grass. Not many labors to equilibrate the soil, planting some herbs.
This place is called Bayón, that's why this is called Pazo Bayón. No, as a pigeon house right now, otherwise so we are now it's the remodel as a tasting. So these were the nests of the pigeons. So this, with this disposition, what we also get is the sun on the vineyard during the day. So that's why it's so important here in Pazo Bayón that the sun rises from there and sets over there. So the whole property gets the sun during the day. So for us, that's really, really important. For the new vineyards right now. Designed this really modern furniture. So I think the mix from the the old and the new one, I think it's kind of blended. Lots of granite in the highest part of the property, the one you saw the area over there. So a lot of granite is the perfect area to make and to blend Albanian grape. So in the mid parts of the property we find here, this is called here shabre. So it's a mix from sand and granite into small parts. And then here these are from the lowest part of the property. And here we can find is more organic soil. So that is not the best.
Is the most important wine for us. We produce around 1 million bottles, okay? This 2016, and the winemaking process here is the traditional for a white wine. We just take the grapes and press it and go to the tank to the fermentation. We have a starter. We take some grapes before start the fermentation, and we use it some liters of this fermentation bath to inoculate the some malolactic fermentation. Yeah, it depends of its vintage. For example, 2016 was a very good weather conditions. Then we have a good equilibrium between degrees and acidity. And we have around 10% of malolactic fermentation here. But if the vintage is difficult, as 2013, we have very high malic acid content. We need to do more or less around 20-25% of malolactic fermentation. Here we can find the varietal notes from Albarino, like peaches or the stone fruits.
We're getting a bit of lime on this one.
Yeah, citric notes too. And some white flowers like jasmine or
Lovely, good, isn't it?
2016 was
You get quite a lot of implementa.
for me there is some.
For us, the grape is capital. It's really important. We are formed by 400 vine growers in the Salnes Valley. They have together around 300 hectares in more than 3,000 different plots. So they work with the grape all the year, and their work is really important for us.
That means that the property was used.
So that would be part of the original part of the house, 16th century.
Another thing curious, 9 paños. Well, paños is the space between the legs. Here the corn is used for feeding animals, so usually they keep it inside the pin on the chaff. Usually in other parts of Spain it's an outdoor place, because the way they do it is just with a nice and exotic new fruit, really expensive, and the people grows really nice in here. So it was already Albarino on the property, and they planted a little bit. We started to use the new building in 2000 harvest. Until 2000, this was the testing room, bottling, or the bottling room, meeting room, everything goes all on this room. It was really black, was much bigger, but was probably from the employees. I always say this was probably the microwave. They cook in the other one and bring to the lady of the house the pot. So they bring over there and then it goes to the lines. We grow in this system in Galicia because the humidity, but that's not true. The only variety that it grows in pergola is the Alvarinho. And that makes sense. You see, the Alvarinho, it looks like a tree. They are huge. So it makes sense. So because for feeding such a big plant, you need a lot of leaf surface. So the leaves are the laboratory where they are going to get the food. So you need a really big leaf surface for feeding such a big plant. And another point about this growing system, here we have two main problems. First one is raining during floration. So if the rain hits the flowers, the plant aborts, so we lose the yield. And the other problem that we got is the mildew. Mildew is a fungus. Here we have 16 Celsius degree, like the average of temperature, and the humidity is always over 85%, so it's the best place for growing fungus. But in this way, you have a natural hat that protects from raining infloration, so it's nice, and the branches are hanging. And if you make a good job with the leaves are not touching the branches, and you cut all the sizes and all that, the life is on the ground and everything, you are fighting against the fungus because you have a better aeration. So that's one of the things that we think this is the best way of growing. But like we don't have theories, right now there is people that is planting in espalier system, in vertical system, and they say that it's okay. So like we don't like theory. 6 years ago we start to make an study. We planted next to our plot where we have selección dañada 4 hectares, 2 in espalier and 2 in pergola system, same soil, same orientation. We contract some satellites, we put some sensors and weather stations and all that, okay? And right now we are in the 6th year of the study. Until now, what I can tell you is the espalier is a 40% cheaper, the investment. The 3rd year you already have yield, while in this system you have to wait 4 years to drive it up here and then driving through the still. But until now, the balance of the plant, we still like it better in pergola system, okay? We have to finish the study. The study will finish when both of them are in total production, and once we make the wines individually and see how is the evolution of the wines after a couple of years of one side of other. But until now, the only thing we see to the other wine is the economic thing. The problem, there are really small ones with really big 4 pips. You see, so you almost need 2 kilograms of grape to make a bottle of wine. So you taste it, don't eat the skin, okay?
I'm on that one on my own. You done that over your own.
So the 3 wines that we are going to taste, or the 4, are 100% Alvarinho, and all the wines have the same philosophy. The philosophy for us to our wine is make what we call honest wines. Okay? For us, a honest wine is the wine who has to give you in the mouth what is promising you in the nose. change the nose of a wine is quite easy. You just choose a commercial lease, and you can choose pineapple, tropical, or whatever. But we think it's totally disappointing once you are smelling a wine and say, okay, this is really nice, it's really aromatic, and when you put it in the mouth it's short, like water, is totally disappointing. So we think a wine has to surprise in the mouth, it's the hardest thing. But with the lees, we got the same, like using the barrel. So we use the lees when we are looking for longer life wines, so the wines are protected during the aging process with the lees. And the lees are going to give you some smoke notes, petrol notes, and more complex things. But the difference is they just come from the variety. So I like to say this is the variety against the wall, because everything we are going to find on the bottle comes from the variety. And then we are going to see how the wines change with the pass of the time. There are totally different wines for totally different moments. So because most of the people, when they're thinking on Albarino, everybody thinks that the Albarino is a nice young wine with crispy acidity to drink in summer or before Christmas. That's nice, and that's really nice for business. But if you think in that way, you're missing probably the best of the Albarino, is the complexity and what happened with the pass of the time. Sorry. If you keep it for 2 years, the bottle becomes the second one. Okay? So we are going to see the nose is different. For me, the nose is, the first note, for me they were primary notes. It was just the fruit, or the green apple, or the flowers, depends on what you find. For me, this wine, the nose start to be a little more complexity. So if we are talking about the green apple, that was filling the first one. Here for me, this is a golden apple or a compote apple. And the nose is a little more complex. So it's not only fruit. It's fruit and a little bit of spices, or start to show a little bit of smokes maybe. It's a little more complex. One of the good things about the Albarino is the natural acidity we got. So with this natural acidity, every time you drink, your mouth is going to be totally cleaned up. So you can have the most spicy food, the most strong cheeses. Every time you drink, your mouth is going to be totally clean. So that's a regular Albarino
Still really
with
fresh.
6-year-old.
Still really, really fresh.
It's still really, really fresh.
Oh.
The nose is nice, okay? For me it's nice. It has complexity, has evolution, start to show probably honeys.
Yeah.
Or for me the problem is in the mouth. I start to lose a little bit the volume in the mouth, but the nose is really complex.
I think that's very honeyed.
Honey.
Very.
But it's a honey. Flower honey is not really too sweet, maybe.
I'd almost expect sweet, I think.
I like this wine, sorry.
I love this. I love the aroma of it.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's totally different if you are waiting for a nice crispy acidity Albarino to have with oysters. This is not what you are expecting, okay?
If I was drinking that blind in the UK, there's no way I would know that was Albarino, that last one.
No.
That's good.
It's open.
Okay. Oh, twisted my arm.
I'm not gonna take it home. I'm not gonna take it home.
Thank you.
A little more 12 too. The nice thing about this wine is that you're gonna change in the glass a lot. So if you go back to the first one or you go to the other ones, they're gonna be totally different.
In Rias Baixas, or you are a cooperative, or you buy grape from a lot of small growers.
The nerves of the leaves are red. 90% of humidity. That is incredible here in Galicia. Incredible in October.
Yes. Yes.
Usually in October it's 80%, 90%, not 30, 40. Yeah.
And once again, you know, the vineyards in the middle of the forest. Huh?
Yes.
I think it's something really unique of this area.
Yes.
And this one will be longer, like this one. Yeah?
La visita la sacan al caballo y la
This is the
This is Loureiro.
This is Loureiro. Is jam, very jam.
Andrea.
pasar de esto a lo que hay allí es modernizarse. De verdad.
looks like not that it's perfectly balanced and it's never falling down, it's never. I think si te cuesta, te ayudo.
Okay. Well, we're working with 5 different types of grape because we made basically Rosal. Rosal is a blend that almost between Alvareño and Loureiro is a 70%. And the rest can be other typical grape. And then we work more the Trisadura, Godello and Caño Blanco.
So could you say the 5 grapes?
Alvareño y Loureiro by law.
Yeah.
After Caño Blanco,
Yeah.
Godello y Trisadura.
Of the legs. Wow, to cover the legs. I've never seen that before.
Gosh, that's really interesting. The shadow.
That was a raincoat.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Assisting. I think that you're coming from Terras Gauda. The last year in August, raining and the temperature lower, and then was fantastic for the grapes, and they was very good harvest.
Fresh.
It's a lovely spot, isn't it? You did the shiny.
the most expensive thing to eat in Spain.
Oh, I'm sorry. Straight out the dragon's toe.
Straight into your eye. I think I'd rather have karma thrown all over me than dragon's toe juice. Personally. So are you happy now?
Yeah, yeah.
It's a strange dog. They are all from Galicia. This is the fourth one I have. The oldest is the biggest one, this one, but the others are still smaller. And the rest are in Orense, which is the nearest province. Ribeiro, Monterrey. Okay. See, because we do another and we are trying to see what happens when we put not only Amarillo but Rosado wine. So if everything is, let's see in a moment, and nothing comes into the structure.
Before we set off from Pontevedra and head towards Santiago de Compostela, it is something of a relief to see that the bushfires have pretty much come under control with all the rain that's fallen in the last 48 hours. One of the wineries we were due to visit was affected by fire, so we couldn't go there yesterday. But hopefully everyone's okay there, and certainly the region looks like it's on the road to recovery now.
The towers were like a lighthouse. That's why to not be higher, the new church, they have to...
Motivos de seguridad, los que podáis, os sentáis, por favor.
Santo Dani, Patron
allowed to make buildings higher than the towers of the cathedral. Because on the top of that tower, still nowadays keep some small windows, and there they put a light, and when the sun sets, turn on, and it's like a lighthouse, for pilgrims. It was so popular, and the people, didn't make buildings higher than this tower, that still nowadays, all around the cathedral, along the ways, about 3 or 4 miles before arriving at Santiago, the people, pilgrims, can see the tower. It's like a lighthouse still nowadays.
Tony, have you lost Jane?
Jane is there.
Another symbol that you can find.
The one that we cross it, and you are in Finisterre, end of earth.
That's a shame, bit of scaffolding.
Some have been destroyed completely, nothing about that facade, and the other